So my name is Orin Julie. I live in Rishon LeZion in Israel, very close to Tel Aviv. I'm 28. I got married 3 months ago, exactly 3 months ago. Um, I served the military as a search and rescue combat soldier. It was amazing, and I still do reserve duty to this day. I give lectures to young people before they are going to recruit, and I encourage them to go to combat roles and to serve our country. I explain to them the importance. I'm pretty famous in Israel, so many people like to hear my lectures. I also give lectures about mental health and about my story. What else can I say? I'm a mother to two beautiful Frenchies. Beautiful, they're amazing. And I love firearms, as you can tell. And I love my country and the United States. Did you serve the Scottish Army?
But this is actually just a T-shirt that I bought from the NSA Bahrain, which is an ex-armed forces base, which we sold to America, which is the biggest armed forces base in the Middle East. And nice. So I spent many years in the Middle East and stuff. So so I thought this would be like a super interesting one. So I used to be a gunner. I used to operate SAAs, GPMGs, miniguns, nice. 20mm Orlikins, and 30mm as well, which is the anti-aircraft guns that shoot the big high explosive rounds. So wow. So I know my way around guns as well. So I thought this would be like super. Having said that, though, I've never seen anybody look as dangerous with a gun as you do. Wow, it's impressive. So in Israel, it's mandatory to serve the army, and girls serve for 2 years and boys serve for 3 years. I served for 3 years and 2 months because I was a combat soldier, and girls don't have to be combat soldiers, but right now we see a huge raising. Girls ask to be combat soldiers, and I think this is amazing. I served the search and rescue unit. It's boys and girls together, and we do infantry, search and rescue work, and everything the army needs us to do. And I think this is a very good experience for a teenager when they got to the age of 18. They taken out of their lives and going to a base with people they don't know, wearing uniforms and using firearms, and study about our culture and history and about this beautiful country. And I think this is very important to the society in general. This is why I advise the Americans to use mandatory service. I have a question actually, which isn't on the list here, but it's quite similar. So pretty much all my career was spent in the dangerous places. I was either south of the coast of Iraq at the oil platforms, or I was tracking pirates around Somalia. So because of that, in my downtime, I would spend my time playing either Halo or Call of Duty. And whilst I would play it, I would say my gunnery drills whilst playing. And it totally worked. So whenever I would go on my gun and I would have to cover somebody, I would basically have all the drills there like second nature. This is so cool. I cannot sit on the chair for so long. I was trying to play it for a while, and my boyfriend and my husband already, he plays it, and I was trying, but I cannot sit. I need to go to the range. So what I was going to say was that, is there anything specific that you've done that you think has improved your ability as a gunner? Wow, this is a very interesting question, and I can tell you. I started shooting in the army when I was 18, and this was the first time I've ever shot. In Israel, it's not popular to have firearms. There's no like gun culture, despite the whole world think that we carry firearms every day. It's not that way. So the first time I found out about firearms was in the military, and I fell in love. I didn't know back then why. I know now I can tell why, but back then I didn't know. I was like, oh my God, I love the feeling. I love the feeling of wearing uniforms. I felt safe. I felt like I have power to defend myself. And during the years, I started joining IPSC shooting and sportive shooting and all kind of different shooting. And I can tell you that in the last 2 years, I became way better shooter when I started to go to therapy to improve my mental health.
because when your head is quiet and you can focus on the thing you do right now at this moment, you become so much better shooter. And it's amazing, because I've never thought I would say, because I went to therapy, I became a better shooter, but I can tell you this is amazing. It changed everything for me.
That's fascinating. No way. That's a really, really, really good answer. I never even considered that. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you need to focus and you need to zoom out while you are in the range, and you cannot let anything else disturb your mind. And when you know how to clean your mind and focus in what you do right now, you just become so much better. And you know, about sportive shooting, it's about accuracy, and it's about how do I say it, like being fast. And it changed everything for me since I started go to therapy. I have like I went through sexual abuse when I was a kid, from the age of 7 until the age of almost 17. And I didn't realize how much it influenced my life. And I was very miserable, but I cannot tell it was because of this trauma. And once I found out and started go to therapy and take care of myself, my life changed in general, but the accuracy with my firearms really changed as well.
That's fascinating. Yeah, it helped improve. And obviously, I'm sorry to hear about the abuse as well.
It's fine, don't worry.
Yeah. Actually, question, sorry, because I am a gunner as well, there is things that are popping to mind that generally I haven't written down yet, but as we're talking, I'm thinking about. You can feel free to refuse to answer any questions as well. It's not an issue. So I just had this memory there that popped up where a couple times where we've been in situations where we have had to cover other soldiers and they're pointing many guns back at us. There has been times where many of my guys have ran and hid, dropped their guns and run and hid. Well, I say dropped them, they're attached to the side of the ship, but let them go and ran. Even my superiors have ran and hid, and I would just be quite confused and be like, what the hell? And then I would just carry on. Now, I don't know why I'm able to just carry on, but I can. Have you experienced anything like that?
The thing you describe right now is called fight or flight.
Yeah.
When we're facing a very hard situation, it really depends on your, I don't know how to say it in English, about your roots, the way you grew up. If you learned how to defend yourself as a boy, or if you had to like fight back for your place, you'd probably fight back. But if you've never seen anything like this or anything that was so scary, you probably run. And we can never know how we would react. But I can tell you, back when I was in the army, we went to special operations in villages, and it was scary as hell. I was sitting in how do I call this car? Like, you know what I mean? Like a car that you can shoot it. I don't know how to say it in English.
Okay. Yeah. A car with like a gun on the back.
No, like
a tank.
Let me figure it out. It's called David in Hebrew, but it's Meshuya. Just a second, I'll figure it out. Armored. Oh my God, how did I forget? An armored. An
Why
armored
did I
car.
not think of it?
So when Israeli soldiers go to arrest a terrorist, many times we have rockets into our cars, or even shootings, crazy stuff. And while we were driving into the village to take the terrorist, we got many rockets on our car, and I was sitting inside this car, and I was like, oh my God, will I be able to even move? I know we're going to a place with many Palestinians, and I didn't know like how would they react. I am a woman. It's pretty, back then it was 2014. There were no many female combat soldiers, and I was the only woman in the squad. And I was like, I don't know how they would react. Will I be able to move? And all this way, I was like, oh my God, did I make a mistake joining this? But then once I arrived, it was like an automatic reaction. I went out and I did everything I needed, and I defended my commander. He was really high ranked, so I needed to like keep the people away from him because they were trying to reach him. And we took the terrorist, and I was sitting in the car, and I was like, did I do it with 2 more men? But was I able to do it? I was like, this is crazy. But we have like really automatic reactions, and you can see it very well in the army, because it doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man, you may run and you may fight back. This is crazy. You can never know.
Well, that's the thing. A gun generally does tend to make things more equal. I mean, I'm an experienced gunner, but judging by your Instagram videos that I've seen and videos online, I hope to never meet you on the battlefield, because I will be dead in seconds.
I'll tell you what, it's about training. I just believe it's not enough to have a pistol and say, I'm safe. No, you need to know how to work this pistol, and you need to know how to work about your instincts. The way, if you do it like times and times and times more, if something happens, you will know how to react. It will be like automatic reaction for you, because you already know what to do. And I train a lot, and I really love it. And I pray I will never need to stand in this situation, but I know I can protect the people around me if I stand in this situation. And I think this is all that matters. I'm asking and I'm promoting the fact that I want to defend myself. If terrorists or bad people want to get firearms, they will get it. Mm-hmm. I'm working with the law. So I need the law to allow me to carry a pistol. And in Israel, it's super strict. It's super strict. Once we finish the army, the 3 years, we can barely own 1 pistol with 50 rounds. And terror here is crazy. For real. Like, I think 10 months ago, there were terrorists that walking around with automatic rifles and shooting people. And some people just couldn't do anything because they weren't armed, and I want to defend myself. I'm also a part of Legal Weapon IL Association. We try to promote more gun culture in Israel. It works great, but the government is still very hard. I hope with the new government we can do something.
My next question was, what sort of training do you get for search and rescue?
The trainings we do in search and rescue were also like, you know, CQB and firearms and everything that is like in the firearm world, because we needed to defend our borders and defend our citizens. But during emergency, let's say a rocket flew on a building and the building fell, we are the one to search and rescue the people and to save lives. And I think this is a noble mission. It was amazing to train these crazy tools. You know, it's like we had also the big tools and also the small tools. I'm not sure how to say it in English, the name of the tools, but it's like, no, I don't know how to say it in English. So we did the search and rescue training and the firearm training, and I'm super appreciating this unit because it's really about saving lives. And it doesn't matter if you're Jewish or an Arab or whatever, we will be the ones to save you.
But you were injured on a training course, yeah?
Injured?
Yeah.
Oh, injured, like injured, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I started my army service in the military court, and I wasn't like a combat soldier. I had a low medical profile, and I really fought the system to move to a combat role. I really wanted to serve and do more than what I did. And it was really hard because I needed to raise my medical profile and I need to prove that I don't have asthma. And I didn't have it because I just had it when I was very young, and they decided to take down my medical profile. So during this year, my father passed away and I needed to raise my medical profile, and it was really hard to move to a combat role, but I made it. Like August 2013, I moved to search and rescue, and there I started basic training all over again and do everything again. It was pretty hard, but I was marked as, how do I say it in English? I was marked like to be an officer, a commander, and I needed to like do a few courses in a row. And I started my commander's course after the basic training, and I injured my 2 legs because I was not very responsible. I was mentally I wasn't feeling good. My boyfriend of 3 years
broke up with me and my father passed away, and it was really, really hard at the combat role, and I really wanted to prove myself. So in the last sport test, I just fell on the ground and I didn't finish the commander course, and it was really hard for me. I had 2 months that I needed to recover. And they told me, oh, now you can go back to not be a combat soldier. And I was like, no way. I'll heal myself and I'll go back. So I got rest for 2 months, and then I served as the communication officer for the battalion commander. I was the first woman to ever serve there, and it was an amazing role, for real. It was like one of the best years of my life.
Okay, so you recently became an officer. Could you tell me more about that? And actually also let us know, what does it take to be an officer? As I assume it's going to be different in different countries.
Yes, so I finished my service back in 2015. And back from then, I do reserve duty. It means that the army calls me a few times a year and I come as a reservist. I'm still a citizen. I'm not in my mandatory service, but I come as a reservist. And I think I'm one of 60 people who did military officers course in reserve duty. It's pretty new. And now I'm going to serve as a commander for I'll check how I say it, excuse me. I'm going to serve as a platoon commander. Does this make sense? Platoon? Yes, good. So
Platoon.
Platoon?
Platoon, yeah.
My Israeli accent. Okay, so
actually in American is platoon. In English it would be squadron.
Platoon. So
everybody understands platoon, so that's probably the better one.
Okay, so I think I'm one of 60 people who did it on reserve duty. It's something very rare, and now I'm going to serve as a platoon commander on search and rescue. And I think this is super important for our country, and I really want the army to give more people the option to be officers in reserve duty. This is huge. Now I'm a captain.
I've seen in multiple things online where people have done interviews and stuff, or people have just written stories about you online and things like that. And many times you've been compared to Lara Croft. How do you feel about being compared to Lara Croft?
This is very, being compared to Lara Croft is very flattering, but I want to be the Queen of Guns. I needed like a Hollywood producer to make a movie called Queen of Guns and star me. This is it. But it's very nice to be compared to a beautiful woman with firearms.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. I mean, somebody shoot. I mean, if you look at Gina Carano, I remember I saw her years ago in a movie called Haywire. And obviously she's a UFC fighter. And the movie itself just looked much cooler because she could really genuinely take these people down. And yeah, your life would obviously make a great story. You are a women's rights activist and a gun rights activist.
So I think more women should know how to defend themselves. I want them to be more secure, to be more open about what they've been through, because I feel like I have like a really important duty to be a part of this, of the healing process of the world. I know it sounds like, what does she want? It's too much, but I speak very, I speak about my childhood trauma on the Israeli TV, and I raise awareness for mental health and for people to go to therapy. And with it, I do the women rights and the gun rights. And I think it goes together because I want women to be able to serve in any role in the IDF, because not all the roles are open to women. And I think this is crazy. It's 2022 and still men tell us what to do. And if I can prove myself as a very good combat soldier in special units, why wouldn't I be there? Because some men decided. I think it's not fair, and I'm trying to work very hard for it. Also in the government, and I'm going to like I go to the Knesset. You know what is the Knesset? It's like the Israeli government when they make the laws and all the stuff. So I go to the Israeli Knesset and I go to the government and I try to change the rules about women in combat roles. And I really work hard for this because
I think this is the future. You are a human being, I'm a human being. If we're both equally good to serve in a special unit, why wouldn't be? Like, just because some men told me not to. So I'm working on it very hard.
I completely agree. I mean, I'm a veteran, and I do tend to think that my whole career was spent either at the oil platforms at Iraq or tracking pirates, based on skill, because there could have been many other people that took my job, but they weren't. They were on other ships in exotic places, going on holidays and stuff, whereas my entire career was in the dangerous places. So that has to be based on a certain level of skill. And
Exactly.
and as we already said earlier, if we met on a battlefield, based on what I've seen on your Instagram, I would be dead.
Yep, probably.
But
I'm a nice person. You gotta know, I'm a nice person. I only defend. I don't attack. I just defend.
I think the main problem is, though, some men wouldn't be willing to admit that women would be better soldiers than them, which
I think they're just scared of women. They aren't very secure with themselves, so they don't want women to be stronger than them. So they try to like depress us.
this question is very good. It's about guns. Your favorite guns?
So I gotta tell you, it depends on the mission, because not every firearm suits every situation. Let's say for IPSC shooting, I would take the Combat Master John Wick 3 from Taran Tactical. This is the one I have. It's amazing. It was on the movie as well, on John Wick. For military, I love AR-15s. This was my military issued firearm right here. So I really love the simplicity and it works great. I used to love bullpups, but now I'm finding my way back to ARs.
You were trained in Krav Maga. Can you explain what type of martial arts this is and what makes it effective in combat?
I gotta tell you, I trained Krav Maga when I was in the military, but I don't remember so much. Don't tell them. It's just an Israeli martial art that combined from all kind of martial arts, and it's very effective. I just don't remember how to do it. I need to do it again, I know.
Actually, yeah, so you're going to like this one. You were speaking earlier about gun laws and stuff. And I read through some of the things that you've been posting and stuff, and it seems that it's easier for men in Israel to get a gun. Why is it easier for men in Israel to get a gun?
In Israel, there are like several criteria to get firearms, and all of them are very manly. You need to do a certain level of training in the IDF that women don't usually do, and all the professions that are in these criteria are super manly. So if a woman do these jobs or did this kind of training in the military, she will get it. Or if she lives in a dangerous place, she will get it. But most of the women don't do this stuff. So we have like 3,000 women who carry in Israel. It's crazy. It's nothing.
That is crazy, especially since statistically around the world, gun crimes are committed by men. I mean, there obviously isn't a lot of gun crimes in Britain because it's difficult to get guns here. You can get guns if you live where I live, because people assume that you're going to shoot pheasants and grouse and stuff. So there is guns available, and obviously there's guns in London and stuff.
Really? I didn't know.
Oh yeah. So
the gun-friendly state? For real?
No, it's illegal guns. So
if
you live in the countryside, you can get shotguns for shooting birds, and you can get rifles. But in the big cities, there is illegal guns and stuff. And
same problem in Israel.
And all the gun crimes are generally committed by men. I've never read a single news story as a journalist where the person committing the crime is a woman. So
yeah, and they also control government and they also control the rules. So it makes sense. Yeah. Unfortunately.
If anything, it stands to reason it should be harder for men to get a gun.
Yeah, I agree.
Since we're the ones committing the actual gun crimes.
And the crazy thing is that Israel has really strict laws on obtaining a firearm for men and women both, but more for women.
And the illegal firearms here in Israel, it's crazy. More than 500,000 illegal firearms, only that we know of. It's crazy. And they think that if they will strict it even more, the legal firearms, the illegal firearms will stop. And I say, guys, if a terrorist wants to get a gun, he will do it. If he wants to kill, he will kill with a knife or with his bare hands. You put us naked against terror. Problem.
Guns are quite easy to get. Yeah, I mean, even in a country like Scotland, I could get a gun within 10 minutes. It's
exactly. I always say it, like, if someone wants to get a gun illegally, they will do it. So those who listen to the law and obey the law, they care about their firearms. They know if they will make any mistake, your firearm will be taken away and you will get punished. And we don't want it. We just want to train, to shoot in competitions and defend ourselves. It's hard. It's really hard to get it in Israel.
yeah, that does not seem ideal or fair.
And yeah, you know, we all serve the military. We all have like experience with firearms. We all shot firearm. We have the we understand how to use it. So you trust us for 3 years to go around with AR-15 on us everywhere, and then once we finish our military service, we are not good enough to protect our families, to protect our people. I think it's crazy.
In fact, funnily enough, as a veteran, I did notice that the people that were the most irresponsible with guns and with ammunition that is high explosive or even low explosive is men. Every time. Yeah. I've seen people take bullets of mine that are little bombs and take it off of the chain and start smacking off things and being like, hey, look, it won't explode. And it's like, do you mind? That's a bomb. It's men. Men can be seriously irresponsible, and it does make no sense that it's easier for men to get guns than it is women. When you look at the military, women have better gun control. They're more sensible with their weapons. It's crazy.
They are listening to the instructors. They are not fighting or competing the instructors. They want to learn. They want to know how to shoot. And men come to the range. Most of them, I won't say everyone, but some of them come to the range and no, don't teach me how to shoot. I will show you, but you've never shot before. So respect the people, the person who you are working with. Yeah, it's hard.
Men have too much testosterone, which leads to showing off in front of other men, which leads to men being more dangerous with guns. Yeah. And obviously, like I said, not listening to their instructors. Not ideal. Okay. You studied psychotherapy.
Yeah.
That's fascinating, by the way. That's amazing.
My life was a mess, pretty much. And I didn't realize it was because of my childhood trauma. And I didn't realize how much effect it has on my life. And I started dating my husband like 3.5 years ago. And there was a moment I really hurt him in the beginning. And I was like, why do I hurt him if I love him so much? I don't want to hurt him. I want to be with him. I want to love him. Why do I hurt him? And then it was the moment I realized I have two powers within myself. The one that wants to live a better life, and the one who influenced by her past. And then I started, first of all, I swore I will tell the truth no matter what. So I wanted him to forgive me. And I told him, I'll go to therapy. Who knows? And then it was like a long time ago, I started going to therapy, and I couldn't find like any good therapist that will understand me. I thought that I'm impulsive and very angry all the time, and this is who I am, and that's it. And I didn't realize you can work it and you can fix it. And then I think 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago, I found an amazing therapist. And before I met her, I started like study by myself. I was looking on Google, and I was looking for sexual abuse in childhood and all this kind of stuff. And then I met this amazing therapist, and it was really hard. I didn't even know how hard it's going to be to face these things. And for the last 2 years, I just went to therapy, psychotherapy, and also EMID. It's like it's moving your eyes to give a new meaning to the memory that the brain
remembers as a trauma. And it really changed everything for me. I was super insecure, and I doubted myself all day, and I was angry and impulsive, and I don't want to live this way. Now I have peace within myself, and I want to give people the hope that they can do it too. Like, our traumas shouldn't define us anymore. The abuser or whatever did, or excuse me, the abuser or whoever hurt you, they already did it. But if you let them control your, oh, how do I say it? In Hebrew, it's way easier, I gotta say. If you let them, okay. But if you let this trauma control your present, you keep letting them influence you, and you keep letting them punish you and abuse you. So I decided I want to take responsibility for my life, and I want to live a better life. And it was really, really hard. About a month ago, I went to an Israeli interview, and I spoke about my trauma. I said everything, and I spoke about the process, and it got almost 2 million views. And people were shocked because I'm famous in Israel for firearms, and I'm famous for being, beautiful women with firearms. And then I opened such a huge story and all my process, and people were like, okay, I want to do what she did. How is she so happy and peaceful? And I give lectures right now about mental health. Not in English yet. I need to work on my English, but I do it in Hebrew, and I see people getting hope. And I think this is so amazing. I just want to heal this world. I just want to let people know that their trauma does not define them. They can take responsibility for their lives and for the relationships they are in. And I gotta tell you, my relationships before the one I have with my husband was very violent and very dramatic and bad, because this is what I knew back then when I was a child. This is what I knew. Life was really bad, and I thought this is life forever. And once I went to therapy and took care of myself and healed the wounds, I found out that life are amazing. I'm having so much fun. Like, I'm talking to people and I'm helping them to see their life in a better way. And I really feel like this is my duty in this world.
I used to date a woman who had some pretty serious mental health problems, right? So I dedicate a lot of my spare time to reading books about psychology. Now, I know that there's huge differences between psychology and psychotherapy, but what I thought was really interesting was, after spending like years like watching YouTube lectures and stuff from universities on psychology, reading multiple books and stuff, two things happened that which I thought were very, very interesting. Firstly, my IQ took a leap. I did not expect at that age, in my late 30s, for my IQ to be able to take such a huge jump, that now when I'm conversing with people, I kind of notice that they don't know what I'm speaking about sometimes. And then I have to kind of pull back, which previously I didn't have to do. And then, but the second thing was I was learning these things to help someone else to begin with. And the whole time I spent my entire life thinking there was nothing wrong with me at all. And the more I learned about humans, the more I learned, well, I have to fix that, I have to fix this, I have to fix this. I will be much more effective as a person if I can do this. I need to work on these boundaries and so on.
Exactly. I love it. Yes, this is why I tell people everyone should go to therapy. We all have things we want to improve in ourselves. You don't have to have like a huge trauma. You got to understand, for example, for me, my huge trauma was life. I didn't see it like it's a huge trauma. This was what I went through. So it was the reality for me. I didn't realize back then that this is something really, really bad. And people don't understand that you don't have to go through like a huge trauma to go to therapy. We all need it. Even my husband, who grew up in a really good home and with good family, he went to therapy. He went to therapy and he worked on his boundaries, and he worked on the way he talked to people, and you see miracles. This is really amazing. People take responsibility for their lives. I just want people to know they can speak very openly about things.
That is exactly it. You learn to take responsibility for your life. So although I didn't do therapy, I learned enough to see the things that I wasn't basically taking responsibility for enough in order for me to be at my maximum potential, or even my best at interacting with others, not only for others, but for myself as well, you know?
Exactly. And I gotta tell you that the lectures I give, I really tell people, don't take medicines. Like, I know it's really, it may sound really extreme, but I feel like many therapists just don't want to deal with problems, so they give people medicines. And I can tell you, I suffer from PTSD, and I did all this process without medicines at all, never. And if I can do it, I believe everyone can do it, because it's just healing the wounds, and it's hard. It's really hard. I cried for every night. I had night paralysis, and I had nightmares all night, and I was really sad, and it was really hard time. But I did it without any medicine, and I want people to know that they don't have it. Like, you really just need to go deeper and deeper inside of you, and you can heal everything if you speak about it, and if you go to the right therapist, you can heal everything.
What would you say is the best things that you've learned from psychotherapy?
Wow. This is it's interesting because I have so many things to say, but I would say that being shameless, speaking about your traumas and stories without shame, because you are not the one to blame. I was a 7-year-old girl, and it was inside my home. I couldn't do anything, and I grew up with the feeling that I'm the bad one, I'm the dirty one, and who would want to marry a woman that was sexually abused for so many years? And this is what I felt. And once I understood this is not my fault and I have nothing to be ashamed of, it really it really gave me freedom. I think we are the only one who went through this thing, and many times the abuser makes you feel like you are fucked up and you are the one to blame and you are the one who tempt him. And I was like, how can I, a 7-year-old girl, tempt someone? I was a little girl and I couldn't do anything. And once I started talking about it, I realized how many people go through these hard things inside of their families. And in Israel, there are statistics that said that 1 of 5 families has abuse inside, and only 6% are reported to the government, and nothing happens with it. And I told you, I'm pretty famous in Israel, and when a famous figure, is it right to say? Mm-hmm. And when a famous figure talk about it so freely on a main channel in Israel, people were shocked, and they wanted, and this and they wanted to share their stories as well. And then so sorry about it. And they really wanted to share their stories as well. And then you see, this is the way we heal the world, if we talk about things, and we are not alone in it, because many times the abuser tell us that we are alone in it and there is no one that went through it as well. And when we are kids, we believe it, because we just believe it. We don't know the world. And once you're starting to talk about it, you see how many people goes through this. And I think this is the way we heal the world, for real. To share, to speak, to not be ashamed of things.
As a 7-year-old, obviously, yeah. There's nothing that you obviously could or should blame yourself for.
And I gotta tell you too that my abuser, as far as I know, went through this thing as he was a kid. And this is exactly what happens when you don't break the chain, the trauma chain. Because I'll explain. I was looking for a way to forgive him, not for him, for myself, so I can free myself. And then it was very innocent. I was looking on Google how to forgive someone, and there is no answer in the Torah or in the Christianity. They all tell us to forgive, and this is a huge thing to forgive, but no one explained to us how to forgive. And then someone told me that if men die from cancer very early, there is like something happened to them while they were kids. And I felt like, whoa, yeah, he died from cancer at a pretty young age, and he did something very, very bad. But there were two people inside of him. But there were two people inside of him, and I started investigating, and I started understanding that, if you don't heal the wounds, you probably end up sick mentally or physically. And this was the way I could forgive him. I just let it go. It wasn't really easy. Yeah, it was very hard to understand, but then I could just let it go, because, okay, he did it. I think he had no choice, because back in the days when he was a kid, he was sexually abused, and it was such a huge shame. It's not like now, all the Me Too campaign and all this kind of stuff. And he depressed it. He didn't talk about it, and he became sick mentally and physically. And it doesn't make the act okay. It's a bad thing to do. But I wanted to free myself from this situation, so I just was looking for a way to find compassion, and compassion made me forgive him and free my life.
You know what would actually make the world a better place? If countries had mandatory therapy.
Amen. Yeah. Amen, for real. Yeah.
Especially countries that have mandatory military service.
Exactly. I say it all the time. Yeah. I try to say it all the time to Israelis. We are a country with PTSD. We grow up with rockets above our head. We grow up when we have terror all day in Israel. It's not okay. We all suffer for something. Please go to therapy. You shouldn't, a kid shouldn't grow up when he hears sirens and rockets above his head, and we're all used to it. It's like, okay, rockets. If there is rain in Israel, everybody goes crazy. Oh my God, what will we do with the rain? But rockets, everything's fine. Life goes normal. And I just tell people, we shouldn't be like a violent society because of our traumas. Go to therapy. We all need it.
There is a lot of Polish people that live in Britain. So we all know many, many Polish people. And personality-wise, we're nothing alike. We're more happy, more laid back, more easygoing and stuff. And the Polish people, they all look like they have like extreme stress and like they're depressed and stuff. And to us, we joined like the First and Second World War without us ever having been invaded. So we just went and fought without anybody doing anything to us. Whereas they were invaded and many people were killed. And it's a scientific fact that through warfare or basically through warfare or being invaded, you get generational trauma, which passes down through generations. So
exactly.
Basically, the people of Poland needed therapy a long time ago because it's so obvious that they can't quite integrate perfectly with us as much as other nations can, because they look so sad and stressed out constantly.
Exactly. This is what I say. Like, the way I could forgive some of my family members is by understanding their parents were in the Holocaust and they survived the Holocaust and came to Israel to build their families, but they lost all of their families and they went through really horrible things. So yes, it's just generational traumas that we need to heal. This is our responsibility.
I mean, obviously I have friends that are Polish and I love them and everything, but they can't see that we're not silly as a nation, that generally you should be this happy and you should be this kind of loose and free. They're just like, you're all very, very, very silly. Men should be tough and strong and stuff. And it's like, no, men should be able to relax and have fun too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
Crazy.
I'm so happy I talked to you because it's very rare to hear men talk about these things so freely and with confidence. You're very confident and you speak about things that are not very spoken these days. And it's so much fun to hear this.
But I'm Scottish, and Scottish people are quite tough generally. Like,
Yeah, I need to visit
historically,
Scotland.
historically on the battlefield, Scotland have been some of the world's greatest warriors, and because of that, I don't really like feel like I need to go about, like, oh, I have to be a big tough man, like I can just be myself. I'm free to be myself.
Exactly.
I don't have to be like look how strong I am. It's kind of like it's pointless. It's counterproductive and stuff. Like I'm not going to be any less of a good soldier because I understand how the human mind works.
Yep.
Exactly. In fact, a good soldier is a smart soldier. So there's that as well.
Yep. Absolutely.
So okay, final question.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Plans for the future. I would imagine with your level of fame and stuff, you could quite easily do acting and things like that.
Very excited about what's life are going to bring me. I know I want to keep doing lectures, and I want to heal the world for real. I want to speak about it everywhere, and I'm thinking about acting. Never tried, but I think I should. And I don't know, I want to keep up with the lectures I do, and I want to expand my family, and I'm just excited for life. It's fun.
Thank you. You've been amazing. It's been a really, really fun chat.
Thank you so much.
Israel is under a massive attack we've never seen before. We woke up this morning to thousands of rockets that were fired into Israel by Hamas. This was done in order to mask a land infiltration of Hamas terrorists coming into Israel by land, by sea, and by air. Hamas terrorists started taking over cities, killing hundreds of people and kidnapping soldiers, innocent citizens, including women and children, into Gaza. So far, we know about at least 100 Israelis that were murdered and more than 1,000 people that were critically injured. Those terrorists aren't interested in peace or two-state solution. All they want is to wipe Israel off the map. I'll say what I said before. This war is not about the land, it's about existence. I really hope that the world see now what bloodthirsty monsters we deal with, but it doesn't matter if you don't, because we ask our government to strike back as hard as we can. We are not going to give up our land.